I really would like to be remembered as someone who tried very hard and who really worked on quality of education. I really feel that that's non-negotiable, and so it meant closing up substandard programs. But I also would like to stress that I tried very hard to combine CHED's regulatory functions with its developmental. So we didn't just go around closing programs. We were also investing in building them up, giving them higher budgets, making sure they got support for faculty development and research. So that balance between regulatory and developmental. Also, I tried very hard to level the playing field between public and private education, because a lot of times the private groups would say, you know, you are very strict with us. We have to comply with so many things. And yet, what? You know, a congressman passes a law and immediately there is a college, there's a university, just like that. And they all claim that because they have a charter, CHED has no say in how it's run. So we tried very hard to, in fact, have a say, because CHED chairs all the state universities and colleges, and through that we also were able to, I think, work out some kind of modus vivendi. And because particularly we also were the ones who recommended the budgets of SUCS, the MOOE part of the budget, they had to work with us. And I like to think that they saw that this was mutually beneficial, that if they worked with CHED, they would get a lot more than if they were not working with CHED.
What program or programs in CHED were you most proud of that was implemented during your terms?
Well, we were very proud of the Student Grants in Aid program for poverty alleviation. It's an access program for truly the poorest of the poor, and we experimented with that with the Department of Social Welfare and Development using the 4P families. So we would choose college-age students from the 4P families, and they would be the very first in their families to get a college education. And they were given very generous scholarships that covered not just tuition, but all the living expenses as well, and to go to state universities and colleges. Now, that was really a challenge because, you know, they always say that students in the state system are poor, but many of these SUCs hadn't seen poor until they saw these students who were really from remote areas and really very underprivileged backgrounds. And to make that transition, so that first year was really very challenging for us, because we had to negotiate with the universities to just modify their admissions policies and have remedial programs and bridging programs. And what was so wonderful in all this was that towards the end, you know, they really caught up. Our first graduates, I'm getting goosebumps. We had our first graduates, I think, 3 years ago. We started the program 2012, so we had the first graduates in 2015, 16, 17. This is the third batch. You would have them, first of all, the survival rate was about 80%, which is very good. In other words, those who came in, who finally graduated. And of those, so many of them graduated with honors,
wow.
Which shows that basically talent and intelligence is normally distributed, but opportunity is not. So if you single-mindedly, again, give opportunity to those who don't have it, then they prove that they can compete like everyone else. And so we're very proud of that. essentially now, that program will be subsumed under the Universal Access law and the Tertiary Education Subsidy, the TES, which is part of that law. We were very proud of that. Also, we worked very hard for what was called the Unifast law, where essentially this was rationalizing the many grants pala that are given out by the various agencies. No? So there are so many sources of public funds for scholarships, but each agency has its own rules. They go their own merry way, and there is no synchronization, no, of all of these various grants, and that's what Unifast meant to do, to rationalize the various public scholarships for students, and that will still be done, but Unifast will also play a role at the Unifast board in the implementation of the universal access to tertiary education. We also tried to work very hard on improving the quality of management of state universities and colleges, and we designed a program where current presidents as well as potential presidents would be trained. It was a program that we worked on with the Development Academy of the Philippines. So it was both a training program, but it was also a program for giving certain credentials to aspiring executives of higher education institutions, so that it also becomes less politicized. That if we have a system which says, in order to become a president of a state university or a college, you have to be a career education, PhilHex, higher education career executive. No? So it would be similar to the CESO system in civil service. So that was also worked on. It's not quite completed yet, in the sense that it's not formalized the PhilHex system is not yet formalized, but we hope that it will be, that it will get some support. No? We worked within the normal programs of CHED as well, and strengthened them, like expanding the centers of excellence and centers of development. We worked on internationalization. We worked on academe-industry linkages, developing kind of careers of the future, no? By talking to industry and getting ideas from them as to what will be perhaps in demand in a few years. So we developed some courses so that to open up careers for Filipinos in new areas. So those are just some of the things. And then, well, I spent a lot of energy on ethical and ethical governance, good governance in CHED and state universities and colleges.